So I had a comment on my YouTube channel that I wanted to address because regarding who I'm calling stupid. Really, the people I'm referring to in my video from earlier today, it's atheists. It's the people that are overeducated that come in and act like that God is not significant in the everyday life. I mean, we've lived in this country, and yet for anybody, that's just stupid to me. I'm not going to apologize for it. I mean, you look out at the trees. I mean, all of nature would be cared for if man wasn't here. So something takes care of those things. So that same something sees human beings as even more important than all of that plant life and animal life. So if that God that cares for the rest of the terrain cares more about us than for us to just act like that doesn't exist is, silly. That's who I'm referring to as stupid. But I wanted to read all of this because a lot of this is true. I'm not going to deny that, but I just want to add a couple things. So you said, yes, monarchies exist worldwide, but not in the U.S. Yeah, no, they don't, but it seems that we pretty much have one. I mean, we may not when it comes to the king aspect, but we operate very much like a parliament. England is not under the Catholic Church at all. Remember the War of the Roses? The Catholic Church has so much control over everything, though. They do. They have so much control over everything. And the oppression, and Guy Fawkes and the oppression of the Celts for following the Catholic Church instead of the COE. I don't even know what side is good or evil in this discussion in the U.S. context. Yeah, that's true. I'm voting Trump because the powers that be, especially the Congress, lobbyists, revolving door, and military-industrial complex fanning the flames of war worldwide, seem to be relentlessly attacking him, as well as Tulsi, RFK, and the whole anti-establishment coalition, which for me is the clearest sign that they are the good guys. Agreed. Otherwise, there would not be such a frantic attempt to ruin them. However, I have no idea what this has to do with King David and royal bloodlines, etc. I'm pretty well read on those subjects, as well as multiple perspectives on theology, but still don't see how this election and the American presidential election is related to that. It is related to many other very, very serious things that we may not be able to turn back from if the Democrats win, but I don't understand where you're going with this. So where I'm going with this is that even though to us it doesn't mean much, especially to us, because we don't put royalty in some high regard here. It's not the way they do in other countries, like England and, where they have kings, okay? But to certain people, just like even though many of us don't agree with occultism, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. And I guess that's what my point is that this does matter, because part of the reason they most especially are going after Trump is because of he's from royal, his bloodline goes back to royalty. So even though that doesn't matter to us, it matters to some other people. I would say people that do want to take him out, which is directly ties to the spiritual component to all this and King David. So I haven't done the video on all of that yet because I'm still trying to tie those different pieces together because of the MacLeod clan of Scotland and King Arthur. And yeah, it goes because the history of all that, although it doesn't seem important at this time, it makes it better to understand that why they're so afraid of Trump. Because there is a spiritual component to all this. And just a little advice, if you're going to call your audience stupid, I wasn't calling everybody stupid. I was calling the people that think that the spiritual component to this doesn't matter. Make sure you clarify what exactly it is they aren't informed about in more specific ways. Well, the very fact that people want to get in my comment section on TikTok and carry on that, God isn't significant. I mean, it's one thing, I get that people can believe what they want, but I have every right to say I think those people are stupid too, because there's every evidence for God. And yet it seems like every war is based on some biblical war, that if you really look back at the history, yeah, the military-industrial complex does it for money, but much of it goes back to a big war in the Bible. So it all ties into the same thing. So when people, most especially here in America, want to act like that God is not significant in anything, yeah, that's who I'm referring to. Those are stupid people. And really what I was trying to say is that this isn't just a normal election cycle. It isn't. There's more going on here. I don't mean to sound insulting. I'm just saying if you want to connect with an audience and communicate your message, please be more clear on what that message is and why this is so important. Anyway, thanks for the video. Hopefully we can clarify some things. Yeah, so that's really what I'm just trying to say, is that it's really the people that think that this is a normal election cycle. I don't think they're very bright people. And then when you look at how afraid these people are, they're afraid of Trump, but it's not just because of him winning. They're afraid because they think because of what his lineage goes back to, and because of the things Trump he himself has said about that he's the only one that can take the system down, the system that has been oppressing people, the system that at the top that has been stealing and money laundering and taking us into needless wars and getting our people killed. I think when he says he's the only one that can take it down, it's because of his royal bloodline. Because he said he's an insider, so he knows that world. Even though you don't look at Trump as really royalty, because he's so everyday American type person, and he's not into that royalty stuff. It still is significant because he goes back to so many kings. And what are kings? There were some good kings throughout history, but more often than not, they oppress the people, right? More often than not, they're the ones that, the money's always going back up to them. So when he says he's the only one that can take it down, I think he's absolutely right. He is an insider. He knows that world, yet he's worked, in New York his whole life pretty much, raised in New York. So he's been on, maybe not money-wise, been poor or anything, but he's been on both sides of the track, so to speak. He knows that life of royalty, at least because, he clearly knows his own lineage, even though he never talks about it. But he also knows, because he sees what the struggling, hardworking man and woman go through, because of working in New York and helping, he had helped the feds or investigators take down the 5 families in New York, the mob families, by letting them use his hotels. Just all of that stuff. But I think it's more than that. They're afraid of him for more than... He represents something bigger than most people want to acknowledge. So I hope that clears it up. I'm not trying to insult all Americans. Much of my insulting is more to the media too, because they continue to act like this is just some normal election. And it's not. These people will go to any lengths to prevent him from getting in, because they know what will happen if he does. And it's not because he has bad intentions for anyone, but it's because he's gonna clean the system out of all of them, which is all of them, pretty much. So I hope that clears it up. If it doesn't, just leave me another comment and I'll try to respond. Thanks.